Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last week of Math 1220 online. So I hope everyone's semester is coming to a nice close this last couple of weeks. A few important announcements. Your grades for exam 2 were posted on Tuesday. And so for more information about that, like the grade distribution, information about how you can get more information about how your exam was marked, look at the announcement that I sent out on Tuesday, April 11th. The last assignment, number 11, is due this coming Friday, so April 21st. At least the written assignment is due April 21st. So I've actually reopened all of the web work assignments, including this one, and set them all to close the very last day of finals week. So I would encourage you to get this week's web work assignment due at the same time you get the written assignment due, so for this Friday. But all of the web works will stay open until the end of finals week, so midnight on the last day of finals week. That will give you a chance to use those web work assignments, any problems you missed before, to go back and study, and while also sort of raising your grade by raising your assignment grade. So I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. I just want to point out the upcoming office hours. Remember, the schedule changed a little bit for this last 2 weeks. So there's office hours on Wednesday. So Wednesday of this week, April 19th, and Wednesday of the next week, which is the reading day, April 26th. And those office hours are on Zoom, are not on Zoom, but they're on Gather.town with the access information on the Canvas page. And those are from 9:15 to 10:45 each of those Wednesdays. And of course, I'm still always available by email or through Canvas messaging or through web work for questions. So your final exam can be taken anytime in finals week. And let me flip to the next page for some more information about that. Right, finals week is sort of week 16/17. That's like a half week, like Monday, Tuesday are classes, Wednesday is the reading day where we'll have office hours. And then final exam week starts April 27th, which is a Thursday, and it goes through May 3rd, which is a Wednesday. The proctoring center, I don't think is open over the weekend, but you can take it either that Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of that period. And all of the information about the final exam is now posted on the Canvas page. So if you want to get to this page that has the information about the final exam, scroll down to week 16/17 in the calendar, and then click on this final exam information and resources. Let me highlight that. Or if you look at the very top of the screen, the top of the Canvas page, there's this link here, final exam information and resources. That will bring you to this page. Usual information about scheduling the exam. Make sure you get that scheduled. The usual exam rules. Let me highlight one thing. So on the exam 1 and exam 2, you had both sort of the fill in the blank and multiple choice questions that were submitted only through Canvas. And then you also had sort of the written portion where you filled it out on an answer sheet and turned that in. For the final exam, there will be no written portion. So there will only be Canvas multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. And so the whole thing will be done in Canvas. You won't turn anything in. You'll, of course, be allowed to have scratch paper. And the scratch paper you use will be just collected and destroyed at the end of the exam. So again, no written questions on the final exam. You won't turn anything in except what you submit on Canvas during that exam. It still needs to be taken in the Proctor Test Center. Okay, good. So that's the biggest thing. Let me maybe highlight that here. And then here's sort of all the information for practicing. Maybe one other point is that the final exam is cumulative. Half the questions will be on the material covered in the first 2 exams, so assignments 1 through 8. So about half the questions are on that, and then about the other half is on material we've covered since exam 2, so that will be assignments 9, 10, and 11. So it's cumulative, but there's sort of only in sort of, it's not sort of evenly distributed over the semester. Half of the exam is on the new stuff, the stuff from assignments 9, 10, and 11. And then the other half of the exam is on the stuff we had already done up to exam 2, assignments 1 through 8. Good, but there's just like before for the earlier exams, you can find the formula sheet here that appears at the bottom of the final exam, as well as on the online practice exam. If you want to see what that looks like ahead of time, you can take there's an online practice final exam on Canvas and solutions for it. If you look at the solutions include some answers to written questions because it's the same practice exam we used in earlier years. In earlier years, the final exam did have written questions, but this year we're trying it without any written questions. So if you look at the solutions, there's a few more in there than on the actual online practice exam. Here I've just noted again that all of the web work assignments are reopened and they stay open through finals week. That's a really good way if you are going back, if there's material you missed where you really didn't do a lot of the web work assignment. This gives you sort of two incentives to go back and hit that material. One, it helps you study for the final exam, and two, you have a chance to go back now and raise your grade on those web work assignments if you sort of didn't finish them earlier. Maybe one note is that a very small number of people had web work assignments excused, like either for serious illness or sort of similar things earlier in the semester. If you had a web work assignment excused, it will remain excused, even if you can still go back and work on it to study, of course, but it will remain excused no matter what. Okay, good. And then there are also sort of pencil and paper exams. And then, of course, if you want to look at studying for this material in the first two exams, you can go back also through the exam 1 and 2 resources. Okay, great. So that's the information about the final exam. And then just a bit of information about what we're doing mathematically this week. So mathematically this week sort of closes out the course. And we're finishing with something, again, it's sort of like more or less a standalone topic. It connects to some of the things we've been doing, but it's more a topic that's sort of useful in a lot of things that come after Calculus 2. So it's sort of setting you up, for example, for Calculus 3 or other applications that will come next in your mathematical life. So this is on polar coordinates and then doing calculus in polar coordinates. It's sections 10.5 to 10.7 in your textbook. And the idea is, instead of describing curves, like curves in two-dimensional space using x and y coordinates, instead you use these coordinates r and theta, where sort of r is the distance from the origin and theta is your angle off the x-axis. So for example, here I drew this point, square root of 3, 1, that's its xy coordinates. But I could also describe that point just as well by saying, well, I rotate pi over 6 off the x-axis and go out radius 2. So those are sort of two equally valid descriptions of those points. And somehow there are times when it's useful or simpler to describe a surface or describe a curve or to describe some function using these r and theta coordinates instead of x and y coordinates. So a good example is like a circle. Like if I want to describe the unit circle, the circle of radius 1 around the origin, that's x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. But if I want to describe it using polar coordinates, then that's r equals 1. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. In particular, sort of what we'll usually look at is we won't look at curves where like theta is a function of r so much, just like we sort of don't look at curves where sort of y is a function of x so much, but where x is a function of y so much. But we look at mostly at curves where the radius is a function of the angle. So r is a function of theta. That's called a polar curve. And then what we'll see, you'll see sort of it's useful for describing certain shapes. It gives you sort of a different way to describe them, or lets you describe new shapes that we weren't able to describe before. And then we'll want to do some basic calculus for these shapes. So for example, we'll want to be able to find the length of a polar curve, like the same way you could sort of earlier find the length of a parameterized curve, or of like the length of the graph of a function, if you had a curve given that way. So we'll want to be able to find a length of a polar curve. And then also the area of a region bounded by a polar curve. And so these things are sort of setting you up also for sort of the kinds of problems you'll see in Calculus 3, sort of build off of this. And that's where the course will close out. So good luck with the assignment and getting ready this week and starting to get ready for the final exam. And I hope to see some of you in office hours or to hear from you via email with any questions. Have a nice week.